And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Welcome in to RBLR Bucs here on RBLR Sports. My name is Eureka, and joining us this week are Mikey. What's up, Mikey?
What's up, Eureka? Musab, what's going on, man? I'm happy to be back on the podcast, and I'm excited to talk some Buccaneer football.
And also walking the plank with both of us on our giant pirate ship is Musab. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, gentlemen? What's going on, listeners? I'm doing well. It's another beautiful day in Tampa Bay, and as always, I am excited to be talking about some Tampa Bay sports with y'all.
Absolutely, guys. So as we march towards the NFL draft, which is just a couple weeks away, there was still a few little tweaks and things that I know we've talked about. Some of the needs that the Bucs have. They've reached again back into re-signing a few guys, but they've also brought in a key free agent, and that's kind of where we're going to start tonight, and that is with the arrival of free agent running back Giovanni Bernard. Giovanni Bernard is a former very high draft pick of the Bengals, and now he's going to be here catching passes and working out of the backfield for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, Mikey, I guess my first question is, other than a sweet 70s mustache, what does Giovanni Bernard bring to this running back squad?
Yo, he does have a sick 70s mustache, man. That thing is solid, dude. Yeah, I mean, I think this is an awesome pickup. Kind of caught me off guard, and before this pickup, I really wasn't well educated on Giovanni Bernard and what he brought to the table. But obviously, after the signing, I had to go back, I had to check some tape, had to look over the highlights. And this dude can catch the ball out of the backfield, man. He is very smooth as a receiver, has amazing hands, transitions well from catching the ball into making moves and making people miss. I think this is a great pickup. I think maybe this is, that offensive piece that we've needed. Ronald Jones didn't do very well as a receiver last year. Lenny Fournette, he had his days. He did okay, but that's not his specialty. So I think a guy like Giovanni is going to improve our offense tremendously. I looked up some stats, and Giovanni had he was third in receptions from a running back since 2013 with 342, second behind James White and Le'Veon Bell. So those are pretty good company. And saw another stat that I thought was pretty important. Tom Brady's running back target rate on early downs. 2017 was third in the league, 29%. 2018 first in the league with 33%. 2019 fifth in the league, 27%. But in 2020, last year, our Super Bowl winning year, 31st in the league with only 15%. So I think this is kind of where they're going to plug him in as a running back receiver target. And I think it's only going to make us more dangerous than what we already are. So I love this signing. I look forward to seeing how they use him in the passing game and seeing how effective he is for us.
Yeah, Musab, how do you see Giovanni adding value to the Tampa Bay Bucs?
Oh, I see him adding value just with, I guess, what he's bringing to the table. As Mikey mentioned, the passing game. I really do like his passing game. But what makes him a little special is just that he's also has a kind of that pass protection kind of skill as well. He's a solid route runner to me, good receiver, and I think also what makes him a little special, if you haven't seen him on the Bengals plays, just his route running is what kind of makes him special too. Mm-hmm. It just makes us more dangerous. It just gives the defense another worry, when you think about it, when he's lining up. And I just think that he's just something that, we can kind of rotate in and out. If he's on fire, then, we'll keep him in. Or if he's kind of feeling it in and out, and once we also, after a few games, once we realize what he's really, really good at, then we'll have a perfect idea of when exactly to use him or how much we need to use him. But I'm really happy we got him. As Mikey said, to be honest, I wasn't expecting it either. But it was really good signing. I am definitely sure he wanted to be on a winning team, and I think this is what the Tom Brady effect is. You have a trustworthy big brother who that, hey, as long as we just we do what big bro tells us to do, we'll definitely win the championship.
Oh yeah, and another thing to add on, I mean, this allows us to attack every level of the field. I mean, now you have a running back that, like Musab said, can run routes and run them effectively. And then you got the tight ends who are efficient and playmakers, and the receivers. The defense has to be on their game because it doesn't matter which level we're at, we're gonna attack you.
Yeah, and Bernard, of course. Well, maybe not, of course, if you didn't know this, but he does have a very strong relationship with another running back that's very, very close with Tom Brady in the day, and that's James White, one of these guys that played with him with the Patriots. And so James White and Bernard actually grew up together, or at least went to high school here in northern Florida, and. Of all people, James White is one of the guys who kind of tipped the scales towards Tom Brady and the Bucs. But you guys have talked about Bernard adding pass catching skill, and another thing that I've looked up is he's kind of a really good third down back because of what you guys are talking about. You don't know if he's going to run a route or run the ball in between the tackles. But with so much versatility and them bringing in this he doesn't seem like he's just going to sit on the bench and only play like the Shady McCoy numbers. He's going to get the ball. I think he's going to get opportunities. So the question is, Musab, who's dropping in this depth chart? If Bernard's bringing all this stuff to the table, someone's going to lose out on some snaps here. Who do you think's dropping on the depth chart?
As of right now, I think at the start of the season I have him at third, but oh man, I just don't think. I think with this Bernard signing, if things go well in the first few games, I think it's gonna be like there's gonna be two guys at the number 2 position, because it just, I don't know, there's just so many things we can do now with all these guys. So. Right now, I have him. I'm gonna put him as third, but I can easily see him going to second, or who knows if this guy just goes on fire or something, and he's doing a little bit of everything, and we're having no issues with him. He can take the spot.
Yeah, Mikey, do you think there is like a depth chart or a pecking order, or do you kind of see it how Musab's saying, where people kind of have different situations, different matchups? You could be quote unquote third on the depth chart, but in reality, we're going to use Bernard's skill in X, Y, and Z areas.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. I think you just hit it on the nose. I mean, there might be a technical depth chart, but I think we're going to use the players that fit our scheme best for those games. Feed the hot hand, right? Whoever's balling out. Playoff Lenny had the hot hand during the playoffs, and they kept feeding him the rock, and we saw what happened. And it's kind of similar to what happens in our passing game, right? We got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and we had AB. We had so many players. In some games it was Mike Evans' turns, and other games it was AB's, and other games it was Chris Godwin. So I think it's going to be depending on the scheme, depending on who we play with. Is really going to determine who we see the most of in the running backs and in the receivers, throughout the offense in general.
All right. The next thing I'll bring up headline-wise is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers players have decided to take the advice of the Players Association, and they are opting out of the voluntary workouts. The Bucs are not the only team doing this, of course. The Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos were also on the first wave of teams that are opting out here. The NFLPA on their Twitter posted a statement on behalf of the Bucs players, saying that players across the league are a group of professionals who care about their jobs, community, and families. we've made a commitment to the Bucs and to each other that we would come back and try to bring another world championship to Tampa Bay, and quote that we know that our union worked to negotiate safety protocols, but in light of the ongoing pandemic, we are choosing to take a stand with other players across the league and exercise our right to not participate in the voluntary off-season program. They go on to say that they had a virtual off-season last year and were held accountable, and we held each other accountable and did the work that it took to win. So the question that I have, Mikey, first is, last year, while we were still figuring out if there was going to be a season and how they were going to fit all that together, they did all of this virtually last year. Do you think that them skipping the workouts is going to be a problem for this year's Bucs team?
I don't think it's going to be a problem. I mean, I've been on Instagram seeing Mike Evans work out for the last month. Ali Marpet working out. I mean, these guys are putting in work. I think they're as hungry, if not hungrier, than they were last year. I think they want to repeat. I think they got a taste of victory, a taste of what it's like to be relevant and the champions and be on top of that mountain. And I think they're, like I said, I think they're as hungry as they were last year. So I expect them to continue to grind and work. And it must be nice, man, to have a voluntary workout that you can skip. I mean, these players, they got it good in a sense too. But no, man, I think it's not. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I think it's all good. I think these guys are hungry and gonna keep grinding, and we're going for that repeat.
Yeah, Musab, I'll ask you the same question, but I'll also add, you got players like Tom Brady and JPP that are both coming off of surgeries that they've had in this offseason. They wouldn't have even been at the workouts. But is there any downside to them skipping these workouts?
No, I don't think there's any downside. All these guys, they all have the resources to make sure that they're training in and they're able to put their work in. So I don't think it's an issue at all. As Mikey said, I think they're hungry more than ever. It's and I'll mention it again. It's that Tom Brady effect. It's just having that guy in your mind that's saying, we got this guy who's leading us. We're champions. Like there's no way we can't win it again. So for that reason, I think they are still hungry. And I guess maybe on one end, if since they're also voluntary, it kind of makes some of these guys, especially the ones off surgery, as you mentioned, Brady and JPP, it kind of allows them to give their bodies some rest and go at their own pace. I think we know what we need to do, and I think. Opting out of these voluntary workouts, it allows our players to work at their own pace, and I know for sure, and Mikey knows as well that they're putting in their work, so that's not a worry for me or anyone, I think. I don't think it's not an issue at all, and I'm with it.
Now, Bruce Arians had a couple things to say, and I think the gist of it was he was kind of hopeful that I think he saw the value of the veterans doing exactly what you just said, Musab, which is like, hey man, some of these guys, give them the time. We're at a very short turnaround. Most of the time, a Bucs season ends way before December is coming around, and but here we go. We won the ship, and now we're doing it again. But you're going to have rookies. You're going to have younger guys. I mean, we have a young secondary. We have some young running backs. We have and plus the cast of people they're going to bring in that are probably going to be key reserves on this team at some point. And you're only 1 or 2 injuries away from starting a dude you drafted in the 5th round playing some snaps, right? So unfortunately. That I guess as a devil's advocate, I would say maybe is that a wrench in the program of like maybe the whole team shouldn't have called it off as a team, but maybe the Bucs were able to say, okay, veterans don't have to be here, but rookies should definitely quote unquote voluntary, but you guys need to be here.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. Yeah. It's a great opportunity for those bubble players, for them rookies, second-year guys that need to get acclimated with the playbook or with the facility or with the coaches. Great opportunity for them to get the foot in the door and get the ball rolling. So, good point.
Yeah, so two guys that are already familiar with the training facilities are two guys that the Bucs are just continuing to bring back, not just the starters but also the reserve guys. The Bucs were able to bring back a defensive tackle, Steve McClendon. He's on the higher side of the age bracket, but he came back for a veteran minimum 1 year deal of about $1 million. And also cornerback Ross Cockrell came back on a 2 year deal. He's making veteran minimum for both years. Now McClendon is a guy that the Bucs traded for halfway through the year last year, and he played pretty significant downs for the last 9 or so games of the year in the season, including the 3 postseason games. He's a key reserve on that defensive line, and it's an area I think we've pinned as a need for this team going into this draft. And then Cockrell is he was kind of the fourth cornerback on the depth chart, and it's another guy that's kind of one of the older veteran type guys that I know we've talked about maybe keeping in the room with all of our young guns. So Musab, I'll ask you first, man. What are we thinking about re-signing these two veterans?
I'm happy. I'm glad to have him back. First going with Steve McClendon. He added 5 tackles in his Bucs debut, and I think it was a really, really good pickup. That we got from the Jets from him. It's just adding just another trustworthy guy. He showed out. He showed he showed what he's worth, and it's nice having someone that we can count on. And the same thing going on with Ross Cockrell. Initially he wasn't really seeing much playing time, but after Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean suffered injuries, he was able to play like a lot of snaps, over 200 in the final, 10 games of the year, and he even got some snaps in the Super Bowl as well. So, I mean, I guess that kind of just, that makes me think that, all right, well, if they're getting action and they're also, they're showing out, they have a little bit of the stats to back it up. With the playing time they get, they have the stats to back up that, hey, we love to be with the team again, and I think they're gonna be just really solid, just backups. I really do think so. The culture this year with everything that's going on, the way I can summarize with all these moves and all these guys re-signing and even Bernard coming and these two guys, it's that huge kind of just that championship / Tom Brady effect. I really do think so. It's a different. I think the feeling that we have right now. I don't think any other team can match.
Mikey, any big takeaways about them continuing to bring back guys that have already been in this locker room?
Yeah, so I think for a team like us who have been able to keep all of our starters from a Super Bowl winning season, to be able to bring back as many depth players, backup players that we have, for a team in our position that's going for a repeat, who's going for back-to-back Super Bowl wins, who wants to maintain that status that we put ourselves in, I think this is great, man. The less players that you have to teach a system to, the less players that have to get used to their defense, their schemes, the better, right? So, great pickup. I know what this guy had, Steve McClendon. He logged in like 25% of defensive snaps last year, so he put in some work last year, man. So to be able to keep a guy like that, I think is very important, and it just keeps this team together, and that can't go wrong with that.
Now, the last headline that I'll bring up is a guy that's familiar of the Tom Brady effect is Julian Edelman, wide receiver of the New England Patriots. And the reason I bring him up is that he's
coming to Tampa.
Yeah, man. It's kind of a fantasy world here, but I'm wondering, Musab, is there a non-0% chance that Julian Edelman is retiring? He spent some time at the pool or whatever in New England or wherever he's living, and decides, you know what? I've watched enough Netflix. It's time to unretire and make my way to Tampa Bay.
I think there is a chance, but I think when he's sitting by the pool, Eureka, he's gonna be watching our Bucs win games over and over and over again. And I think after week 17, that's when it's gonna hit him. He goes, "Hey, what's the point of me sitting in this pool watching these guys win? I want to win myself." So, is there a chance? Possibly, but it'll be very. I'll be shocked. I really will.
Mikey, am I off my rocker here, buddy, or is there?
Nah, man, there's an 11% chance that he comes.
I see what you did there, brother.
You like
I
that,
see
right?
what you did there, brother.
Listen, man, hey, you never know what the season's gonna bring, right? One of these receivers go down with an injury. If you guys get hurt, get into trouble, Tom Brady makes that phone call, come down to Tampa. I doubt he'd say no. So there is a chance. There's a chance.
All right. So I was being silly there, but the last thing that I think we should do here, not getting too in depth into it, okay, not going too crazy, but I did want to ask, taking a look around for the first time, as we are only a couple weeks away from the draft. Taking a look at what our divisional rivals have done so far, kind of the big hits or misses is what I'll ask you guys about. I guess the first thing I'll bring up is the Atlanta Falcons. They were last in the division last year. Right off the top, I can see two of their starters have already left the team. Alex Mack was their starting center. He played almost 90% of the snaps. He's now a 49er. Keanu Neal is a safety. He left town for the Cowboys, and that's another guy who started and played significant snaps. They have a couple guys that they haven't re-signed, like Todd Gurley at running back. James Carpenter was their starting left guard. There's some things that they have on the table, but not a lot of people jumping to re-sign with the Falcons. Mikey, I'll ask you first, man. Has there been anything signing-wise, bringing in or leaving that has caught your eye for the Falcons so far?
The Atlanta Falcons are a very boring team for me, man. I got to be honest, right?
Yeah.
So I think they are on the major decline. I'm very bearish on the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're going to be in the NFC South basement, much like the Bucs were for a long time. I think it's their turn. And I think they're gonna be suffering for a while. So nothing that's stood out to me. I mean, other teams like the Carolina Panthers and the Saints have done things that have caught my eye, and I have a little bit more to say about.
Okay.
Atlanta Falcons to me are lukewarm, man, or I think they're going down to the basement. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think if Musab, is there anything that has kind of stood out to you with the Falcons? Is there anything that's jumping out at you that says they're going to be better than they were last year?
No. Just as Mikey said, I've never been impressed by them, and I think I don't know if they're exactly on the decline. Perhaps they may. I think they're just going to be the same.
Well, how much further down can you go? Yeah, I mean,
how many games they won last year?
Oof, not a lot. Not a lot.
Barely any.
So
for that reason, I don't know. I think they may stay the same or something like that around that ballpark. But yeah, they're definitely going to be in the bottom of the NFC South.
What
for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at, like, even if you take a look at who they've brought in, they brought in. I'm trying to just backup guys like Josh Andrews who played with the Jets. Now he's coming into the Falcons. There is a hole now. Alex Mack leaves, so maybe he has some opportunity to kind of show he still has some gas in the tank. Barkevius Mingo leaving the Bears. To come to the Falcons, but
Falcons are in trouble.
Yeah, I mean,
what I'll also say is with any of these kind of signings, I mean, there's the way I see is always a 50-50 chance, especially with a losing team like that. There's always a big 50-50 chance that it's either just gonna go completely downhill, it's gonna be a waste, or maybe something may work out. But I mean, with the team you have right now, you have to be special. You have to be a special free agent signing to make a difference for the Falcons. And
there has to be a spark.
Yeah, I don't see anything going on with any signings for them that are going to be like that.
Now, moving on from the 4-12 Falcons will be the 5-11 Carolina Panthers. Mikey, what have you seen out of the teal and black attack?
So Carolina Panthers, although they did not have a good record last year, they were 5-11. I did see some potential in them.
Okay.
I like the coach, and his style of coaching and what he brought to the table. And I'm really interested. I wasn't a big fan of Teddy Bridgewater at all.
Okay. Why is
It
that?
seems like a good. This doesn't seem like he has the arm or the leadership skills to take a team to the special, to the playoffs or to the promised land.
Okay.
When the Bucs were, I think it was rumored that Teddy Bridgewater was a backup plan if Tom Brady didn't work out for the Bucs, and I was terrified of that happening. So I was happy he went to Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
And after watching him at the Carolina Panthers, he dink and dunks, got a few little passes here, but wasn't very impressed. But they signed Sam Donald, right, from
They got him traded from the Jets. That's correct.
from the Jets. That's right. So I went back. Obviously, the Jets are an absolutely horrendous franchise and team. I don't think anybody would succeed up there. So I went back and looked at some of his highlights, and this dude has a cannon of an arm, man. He can toss the rock, and he can move around in the pocket as well. So I'm interested to see in a different environment with different coach how he performs. So I am not as bearish on the Carolina Panthers as I am on the Falcons.
Yeah, Musab, is there any kind of big takeaways on the Panthers? I mean, like Mikey just said, they brought in Sam Darnold to be their starting quarterback, possibly, probably. What are we thinking about the Panthers?
What I'm thinking is it's really kind of gonna be up to Sam Darnold really to see how he can perform with what he has. Nothing really big going on with what I've seen other than Curtis Samuel signing with the Washington football team. So I mean, you lose a guy like him, and now you're throwing in Darnold. So now there's gonna be you're looking for a new kind of Curtis Samuel. Who's gonna replace him? And then you're also thinking, well, how is Darnold gonna adjust to this? So I'm kind of just very indifferent towards him right now. Definitely no worry as a threat to us for sure. I don't think they're a threat at all. But we'll just have to see. I have indifferent feelings. I don't think anything special is going to happen out of them. Perhaps they'll just have another kind of 5-11 season, unless Sam Darnold does something special, kind of leads the team, leads the guys to maybe some more wins. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I have them kind of having like the same kind of record really. I don't see anything really going on with them this upcoming season.
Yeah, so we'll leave the basement of the division and we'll talk about the one team that was quote unquote better than the Buccaneers during the regular season. That is the 12-4 Saints, who do not have their Hall of Fame quarterback anymore behind center. In fact, they went out and re-signed our boy Jameis Winston. So I guess I'll start with Musab, man. Musab, man, how would you see the Saints? Are they gonna kind of tread water with in a good way? They'll be up at the top again with Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston, and or do you think there's a changing of the guard here in the NFC South?
Definitely a changing of the guard. There's no way they're going to be like how they were last year. They had some big offseason departures for sure.
Okay.
The energy, the energy they have right now, it's deep down, whether they all admit it or not, Saints fans and their whole team, they're feeling a little down right now. You have a guy, first of all, like Drew Brees, who just left you. I mean, not really to leave you, but the guy had to retire.
Sure.
And then you have some off-season departures like Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook, Malcolm Brown, Josh Hill. So I mean, the list goes on a little bit more, but they're definitely not going to be how they were like last year. You can say if you want to, they were the better team since they beat us in the regular season. But no way, Jose, are they going to be better than us this upcoming season? The Bucs, we're mad at them. We're trying to just kind of put a stamp on the fact that we're definitely better than the Saints. There's always going to be that. All right, well, because there's probably people thinking right now, oh, well, they still, we still beat you, twice in the regular season. What makes you think you're really that special? Yeah, you beat us in the Super Bowl, but what makes you that What makes you think we're that special? Well, we're gonna show you why we're special. And I have respect for Taysom Hill, but I think, and I hope Jameis hesitates, and I think he will hesitate a little bit here and there. I don't think he's ready at all to take the role, so I think Hill's gonna be the leading the guys. I don't think he's. I think he's fine, but he's no way gonna replace Breeze or kind of fill in his shoes at all. He has a lot of work to do. So because he has a lot of work to do, because of all these offseason departures, I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints really just kind of go like straight downhill, or if they just, it's a slow decline. I don't know, but it's not a worry for me. Honestly, all these three teams, we're gonna be the king of the NFC South for sure. That's locked in.
Yeah, Mikey, man, talk about mass
Lock it
departures.
in.
Mass
Just lock it
departures here. Is there? I mean, looking at the Saints team, man, everyone's gone. Everyone's gone, man. They jumped as soon as Breeze left. Everyone's like, "Yep, okay.
Ship.
Can I get my check, please? And do you validate parking?"
Yeah.
What is there any last thing about our division? Is there anything good? Is there anything good about the Saints off season? This.
Yeah, I mean, they still have Sean Payton as their head coach.
There you go. Okay.
Sean Payton is a very, very, very good head coach.
Yeah.
Drew Brees was out. Teddy Bridgewater, who I just said I'm not a big fan of, took over not in 2020, in 2019, and went 5-0 as a starter.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, Taysom Hill, when Drew Brees go out, plays phenomenally. Taysom Hill is a Tim Tebow type player. He can't run a football team, the normal football team.
Yeah.
Sean Payton is a phenomenal head coach, man. He puts people in positions to succeed. He eliminates people's weaknesses, and he coaches up his guys very similar to how Bill Belichick does in New England, man. He's very detail-oriented, and he knows how to prepare his team. I'm a diehard Bucs fan. We locking in the division in 2021 off the Saints. But with that being said, I'm very hesitant to just write them off. I have to admit it, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I was a big fan of Jameis Winston, and I got tired of the interceptions as everyone else did.
Yeah.
But the kid had a lot of potential.
Sure.
And when AB came to coach the Tampa Bay Bucs, he's a no risk it biscuit kind of guy. That is not the type of coach you need for Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
You need to be very calculated, and very disciplined. And you need to eliminate the risk, right, when you have a quarterback like Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
And I think Sean Payton knows that. And I think he might – I mean, he's obviously going to use Jameis and Taysom Hill very similar to how he used Drew Brees and Taysom Hill. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to be as bad as many people think. I know a lot of people jump ship. But this guy's a phenomenal head coach. Jameis Winston has phenomenal talent. Hopefully he throws some pick sixes to the Bucs. That'd be pretty dope.
Yeah.
If we could run a few back on them. But I still think they're going to be in the mix a little bit.
All right. Well, we talk about this mass exodus. It's kind of weird too, because I think there's something to the fact that the Bucs are going to be, or at least they look like they're still going to be a juggernaut, if not better. This year. But you look at all these guys that left, and they're leaving for AFC teams. Janoris Jenkins, Titan. Trey Hendrickson, he played 53% of the snaps. He's a Bengal. Emmanuel Sanders, Musab, brought him up. He's a Bill. I mean, they've got, backup Jared Cook. He's a Charger. Sheldon Rankins, he's a Jet. A couple guys have left for the Lions, far, far away from the South Division. But it's
chasing paychecks,
dude. It's
they know that they can't get to the Super Bowl while being in the NFC. The only way they're gonna reach the Super Bowl is if they're in the AFC and if their team obviously reaches there. But they had no way they're reaching the Super Bowl. If they're in the
None
NFC.
of those teams Eureka just mentioned are getting close either, though. You got the Cincinnati Bengals.
The Bills.
They don't.
The Bills.
The Bills. There's a chance with the Bills for sure.
Yeah, well, the Chargers with their brand new quarterback out there. But
who's the Chargers quarterback?
Well,
now?
they traded Jared Goff for Was it
For Stafford, right?
Matthew Stafford? Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. So there's they're trying to put butts in seats in that brand new LA stadium, right? Well, I guess that's all I have as a little just a quick look at our division as we sit there. So we'll be checking back in post draft on those guys to kind of see what the real game plan was, and because all those teams that we've talked about, or at least the Panthers and the Falcons, very high draft picks in every round this year. So there's definitely going to be some young guns fighting for the NFC South that we're gonna see at least twice this year. So
it'll be fun to watch the change of the guard in the NFC South. We've been at the basement for so long. Now this has been is a flip, so it's gonna be fun to watch for sure.
Well, and it's good too that the one thing, if you're Bruce Arians, you're trying to sit here and go, how do you keep these guys motivated? And it's the thing we didn't get last year is our division championship. I mean, as good as it is to be the road warriors and go out there and win the wild card game and things like that, it's like for the high expectations that we had last year, wild card Tampa Bay Buccaneers was not something we were printing T-shirts and hanging banners about. So.
For sure. So that's a bulletin board material right there. You gotta win the NFC South.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess before we get out of here, Musab, man, any final thoughts about kind of where you're feeling about our Bucs as we're a couple weeks away from the NFL draft?
I am just very, very optimistic as each week goes on. I think it's just kind of just really just getting to me that, everything that's been going on with these signings, I might read some articles here and there, and just the feeling that I'm having right now is that, we're going to be back better than ever, stronger than ever, and as aggressive than ever before. And we're ready for a winning season, and, we can, to all of our listeners, you can start kind of looking for Super Bowl tickets right now, because we'll be there. We'll be there for sure. We'll be there for sure.
Let's go.
Mikey, man, final thoughts, brother.
Yeah, man, this is an interesting off season, right? Usually come draft time, I'm here, going through potential college players that can turn it around for the Bucs. Who's going to be the Buccaneers savior the next season? Because usually our season ends pretty early.
Yeah.
And, we have a lot of time to look into potential draft picks and stuff like that. So to be the last pick in the first round, 32nd pick of the draft, and to be Super Bowl champions and sitting here knowing that we have our team together, man, I am chilling. I'm enjoying this off season. I look forward to the season starting and talking about the draft next week. But, man, I'm feeling good, man. It's good to be a Buccaneer fan right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we'll be shifting our coverage for the next couple weeks for all things about our Buccaneers in the draft. So we thank you, the listener, for listening to us on your lunch break or your commute, whatever time you're taking to listen to Mikey, Musab, and myself. We definitely thank you. And the one thing I'll ask you before we get out of here is if you can follow us on any form of social media that you use. We are at RBLR Sports, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, man. And also, however you're listening to us, if someone sent you this link to Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, whatever link you got, whatever you're listening to us, hit that little subscribe button. Save us in your library so that when we post a Bucs show, a Lightning show, a Rays show, and the Rowdies are right around the corner, we will be providing these guys every single week. You can get up to speed with all of your favorite Tampa Bay teams, and all you have to do is hit that little subscribe button. So that's what we've got for you this week on Bucs Talk. I'm excited, man. We're still just fortifying the depth, and we're turning towards some long-term impact guys that might not be starters this year, might not be guys who put in a lot of snaps this year, but they're going to be the special teams guys. They're going to be tomorrow's depth for the Bucs. So don't get it twisted. This is a very important draft for Light and the rest of the guys to continue that pipeline for the Buccaneers and keep us a winner every single year. So for Musab, for Mikey, my name is Eureka. We are RBLR Sports. We thank you, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.